Hey guys, Dave Neal here. Let's jump right into this Chris Harrison story. As we know, he announced he was stepping aside from hosting duties of The Bachelor, which all of Bachelor Nation said, what is it that you actually do? We still don't know. He greets them, he gives them a key to the fantasy suite, and then he waits till they get divorced. That's the cycle of life in Bachelor Nation. Get divorced, they usually don't make it to the altar. Speaking of making it to the employment office, or unemployment office, I should say, Chris Harrison is going to be talking his way, or at least trying to talk his way back into his job hosting The Bachelor. Now, obviously, I know from the thousands of comments I've received that this is a very hot topic issue, with a lot of people saying, oh, come on, what he did wasn't that wrong? And then people say, he needs to be canceled, this is ridiculous. So the truth usually lies somewhere in between. The news was broken yesterday, I believe, by Billy Bush. Speaking of having been canceled and brought back to life, he's like the Jesus Christ of commentators. He gets canceled, and then 3 years later, he comes back to life. He has risen from the dust. Do you know Billy Bush is related to the Bush family? It's all part of the Illuminati. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Let's get into it. Chris Harrison, so here he is. It was announced yesterday, leaked by Billy Bush or somebody like that. I don't even know. Half this news is like a source says. We don't really know what's going on, but we're watching anyway. Chris Harrison to address Bachelor scandal on Good Morning America. Now, look, I've been saying this all along. Chris Harrison needs to talk. He needs to come out and talk. Rachel Kirkconnell came out and released a 7.5-minute Instagram video that was full of useful and rich information about moving forward. Not just an apology, but here are the actions I'm taking. Here's who I'm talking to. And she provided a good list of things. And she said, look, if you don't think I've done anything wrong, come along on the journey with me. And that's what the positive aspect of this all could be, is about coming along on the journey. A lot of people that say, oh, Chris Harrison, it's all right if he gets canceled. He's a rich white man. It's no big deal. Excuse me. If the idea is getting all of society to come together, to be equal, to live in harmony, which I think we all want, right? I think we all want that. Then there's a ton of people that don't understand what Chris Harrison did was wrong. Now, if Chris Harrison explains how he's growing from it, how he's pledging to do better, it's a learning opportunity for all those people. Now, I understand there's a lot of people that are saying, well, we're triggered by the dismissiveness that he showed on TV with Rachel Lindsay in their interview, and it just isn't a good sign to just let him off the hook. Well, where's the middle ground? How do we not let him off the hook, but let him speak and actually show action? And now look, I'm by no means defending him. I don't know what actions he actually is or is not taking. I don't know where his head's at. He could be in the alleyway with Rachel Lindsay smoking a cigarette and saying, oh yeah, boy, I'm going to do some performative whatever. We don't really know. But my guess is that, as is usually the case when it comes to public shaming, public cancelization, usually it beats the person down to a point of humility. And that's kind of what it is with Chris Harrison. Look, he's hosted the show for 25 years. It's like almost like I live in California, right? So it's like we're gonna vote, and I'm not making this political, but it's an example. California's gonna vote Democratic no matter what. So like, there's no real pressure on the governor to do the right thing, because it's like, we got it in the bag. You almost want to live in a flip state where it's like, I might get fired, I might not. I might lose my job, I might not. That's what keeps people on their toes. Does that make sense? So Chris Harrison it's almost like he's been too big to fail. He's needed to be brought down a peg. And I think with that humility will come understanding that he did something wrong. Now, it's not up to you or I to judge the punishment for the crime. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of up to, it's up to a collective of what's going to work best. What's going to work best for ABC, the network, moving forward? Do we want to bring him back and possibly piss off a select number of people? Do we want to cancel him, fire him, whatever you want to call it? And then a whole bunch of people say, oh, it's gone too far. Well, I think their answer is somewhere in between, and that has come from stepping aside. As we know, Emmanuel Acho is going to be hosting the show, and a lot of people say, oh, who the heck's this guy? Well, I've been promoting his book because it really is amazing here. I got the book right here. This book, Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man, stemmed from a YouTube channel that he has of the same name that just has tough conversations. Now, I've said this all along. Chris Harrison should be having the conversation with Emmanuel Acho, assuming he wants to. We can't put the burden on anybody if they don't want to do that. But they are saying that he's going to have the conversation on Good Morning America. And this is where it all goes wrong for me, because we know Good Morning America is just a propaganda piece for ABC and for Bachelor Nation. It's almost like too closely connected, where they're going to shine him. They're going to do whatever they can to make him come across the way that they want, versus what Rachel Lindsay showed, which was just a 14-minute unedited conversation of who he is. I don't like it. I don't like Good Morning America for any sort of critical news within the community, because you understand that's like Governor Cuomo getting interviewed by his brother, the other Cuomo, Fredo Cuomo, whatever his name is. You can't say Fredo. That's for you guys to decide. I'm not getting involved in that. But it's almost like too close to home. So I don't understand. I don't know if it'll be a critical interview. I don't know. Maybe it's just a place for him to get his message out. But Chris Harrison just lives in this like old school world where everything has to be like, he's like such a network TV guy. I really think this conversation needs to happen on an open channel, like on a podcast, something that everyone can see, that's not ruled by advertising. You know what I mean? Because like look at the Women Tell All as an example. They basically slandered Brittany Galvin. She was on this episode this past season of The Bachelor, and of course it was leaked. Anna on the show leaked a rumor that Brittany Galvin was an escort. Now, if you want to be an escort, sex worker, that's on you. You shouldn't be shamed for that. As long as you're taking care of your body, that's my stance. Be safe, take care of yourself, do what's in the best interest for you. Now, but if you don't do that, you get slandered. Like, so Brittany Galvin claims she's not an actual sex worker, yet all the news ran with it. ABC promoted it. Bachelor promoted it. So they made money off of this rumor when they could have just edited the whole thing out. It wasn't shot live. They could have just edited it out. So on Women Tell All, Chris Harrison was about to interview Brittany Galvin, and he's like, but first, this commercial break. So they're still selling advertisements in sort of promoting the apology. I don't know if this all makes sense, but this is what's wrong with the business side of network TV, is that they've got to keep you entertained every second of the way. They're like afraid of losing the consumer, versus like Netflix. They're like, look, we're going to put a good show out there. You're going to like it. The story might take a little while to develop, but we're going to do the best thing possible. So for Good Morning America, they're going to tease the hell out of this interview. They're going to break it up into several segments. They're going to sell their Dove soap or Axe body spray, whatever the hell they're selling. They're going to sell that in between it, and it's just going to leave me in a bad taste. And I might be projecting, but this is always how it goes. We deserve more than a 3 or 4 minute curated, edited conversation. We deserve, at the very least, a 60-minute style long form conversation, which I still think isn't good enough. We want to see it unedited. We want to see the whole thing. If he's asked a tough question and he tears up, I want to see that. And not for blood. This isn't some gladiator thing. I don't want to make somebody cry or have them cut down. I just want to be able to accurately assess their feelings about the whole situation. Because if I'm going to say, I think Chris Harrison's ready to teach all of his followers and all of his fans a proper method of moving forward and educate himself while other people are along for the ride, I want to believe that. And again, he's been silent for the last several weeks, hid behind his statement, and we've been waiting for this interview. So let's read a few things that they say here. News of Chris's television appearance comes after Emmanuel Acho was announced as the host for Matt James After the Final Rose. In a statement, Emmanuel shared, I've accepted the rose, and I'm honored to be hosting After the Final Rose this year. It's been a pivotal season, and this episode will hopefully be one of the most storied shows in TV history. Empathy is needed, and change is coming. Share the news. I'll see y'all then. Now, I guess Chris Harrison could still be interviewed by him on this show. Some have said they don't want that because it'll take away from Matt James' season. I don't understand why they can't do both. I don't understand why they can't tack on an extra hour or make it like, all right, if when we're done with the show, if you want to hear the interview, go to abc.com. The bandwidth for this interview is unlimited. Do you know what I mean? When I was going to make this video, I was like, it's going to be a quick video about Chris Harrison, but it's like there's so much to unpack here, and I just believe they're doing it so wrong. Emmanuel Acho, they speak of, the former NFL football player, has tackled race and masculinity as well as other topics in his popular YouTube series, Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. He published a book of the same title last year. So anyway, this is we'll have to see how this all goes. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. So yeah, the sources say that Good Morning America they've confirmed that the Bachelor host has been booked to appear on the morning show in the near future. I'm assuming this will be in advance of the After the Final Rose. I think this is an okay move as long as it's not the only move. All right, so if Chris Harrison's not gonna. And again, in the other thing, guys, and I should say a trigger warning here. I'm going to talk about domestic violence. I'm kind of new to this whole world of commentary. I'm new to the world of trigger warnings. And I guess that's probably coming from a place of privilege where I don't have too much that triggers me because life's been okay. Okay, life's been okay. Whatever. But I will say this. I'm going to talk about Michael Strahan and a lot of his old allegations. So the idea, the original idea was that Michael Strahan might replace Chris Harrison for After the Final Rose. I reported on that, and possibly for the future. Some sources had said that whoever hosts After the Final Rose could be a contender to replace Chris Harrison. I don't think Emmanuel Acho is going to be that guy. I don't think they're going to choose him to replace. I think he's specifically there to talk about race as it deals with Rachel Kirkconnell and Matt James. And I think that's a good thing. I think he's a good person to ask tough questions because he's done a lot of that in the past. He's kind of showed that he's got a little pedigree as far as his ability to bring different types of people together, talk to them, and his sort of tag and mantra that he wants unity is what we should all be striving for. So I think that's good. I think that's a good thing. And I think people who like Chris Harrison should be happy that Emmanuel Acho is going to be there. He's the guy you want. He really is. If you like Chris Harrison, you want him to get his job back, then you're going to want to hear from people like Emmanuel Acho who preach not canceling people, but teaching them and learning and moving and improving. Now, here's where we're going to get in. Here's where we're going to get in with Michael Strahan. It was the rumor for this Good Morning America interview is that Michael Strahan is going to interview Chris Harrison. And now I'm just going to show you again a trigger warning here about domestic violence. It is pretty dark. I'm going to show you a couple of clips. Now, I didn't know about this, but when it was rumored that Michael Strahan might become the new host of The Bachelor, which at this point seems kind of far-fetched, but you never know. There's all these articles that came up from 15, 16 years ago about domestic abuse allegations with his ex-wife. Now, I mentioned this in a video earlier, a couple days ago, and people commented, how reckless of you, or it was just one person said, how reckless of you to bring up allegations and rumors and this and that. And it's like, well, this was in the court, guys. This is just Google, Michael Strahan domestic violence, and you'll see that whatever happened. It's one that people say, oh, you got to believe all women. And then people say, oh, you can't, smear the black TV host. And it's like, I'm not trying to do either. But if we're going to be trying to have an interview with Chris Harrison about like what's morally right or wrong, and then we've got a real brutal court case about Michael Strahan and domestic violence with his ex. Giant star Michael Strahan was barred from his own home yesterday by the judge in a domestic violence case after his anguished wife made new charges of abuse and presented graphic photos of injuries she claimed she suffered at his hands. Attorney Jean Strahan testified that Michael's physical violence against her dated back to January 96, 3 years before the couple married, and once including body punches so forceful that she urinated blood. It goes on, guys. Now, ESPN, and this is a decade and a half before the Me Too movement, ESPN reports, again, this is March 17th, 2005. So this is actually a year earlier, just to be fair. ESPN reported a year earlier that the complaint between the two stemmed from arguments over money. A domestic violence complaint against New York Giants star Michael Strahan was dismissed Thursday, days after he filed for divorce. The complaint stemmed from a March 10th argument over money between Strahan and his wife Jean at their Montclair home. Judge Thomas Zampino ruled the argument did not involve physical violence, but not before Jean Strahan testified about other fights. So look, I mean, it's muddy, it's always like a he said, she said, but obviously in this New York Post, obviously New York Post shouldn't be where we get all of our news, but he was a New York figure as a New York Giants, a Hall of Famer, I believe, right? So it's ugly, he's sort of, I'm just assuming money is what cleared this up, but Michael Strahan planted tracking device on gal pal Nicole Murphy. This is on somebody else. So this is a story 3 years later. Pulled a Colton Underwood. I wonder if Colton Underwood looked up to Michael Strahan as like a hero. He's like, oh, planting tracking device. Get that on my Amazon influencer list here. When the gap-toothed ex-Giant suspected his longtime girlfriend of cheating, he put a tracking device in her car and went ballistic when she found it, sources told the Post. Second time, Strahan, who now lives in California, used a big brother tactic on gal pal Nicole Murphy, ex-wife of comedian Eddie Murphy. Guys, when it comes to sources say this, sources say that, it does dabble on the side of gossipy, but also these are court documents in this and that. So while it feels like a complete left turn to talk about this, it's important to note that like ABC needs to figure out how they're going to handle And like, I don't know who was in charge there 15 years ago. I don't know if Michael Strahan, maybe they have information that it was all made up, and I don't know that much. That's above my pay grade. But all I'm saying is this: if Michael Strahan is going to be the one interviewing Chris Harrison about what's right and wrong and overcoming things, you know, a lot. Put it this way: the only way I know about all this, because I wasn't privy to any of this information before last week, but as soon as it was rumored that Michael Strahan was going to come out, the good people at Bachelor's Reddit were like, "Nah, player, hold my mimosa. We're not going to let this stuff fly." So anyway, I mean, I'm not here to stir up the pot. It's all information you can find online. And it'll be very interesting, to say the least, to hear what Chris Harrison has to say. So this is my Chris Harrison Speaks to Good Morning America video. I'm sure as soon as they have that conversation, we're going to break it down completely. So do me a favor, hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, leave a comment, and if you're not already subscribed, please get on that. I got a lot of content coming out today. I got a video about Rudy from Listen to Your Heart, calling out her two-time-in boyfriend to be, whatever his name is. I can't remember. Brendan? No, that's not his name. Whatever his name is, you guys can let me know. I'm going to make a video about that. And then I'm going to also make a video about apology bombing, which is this weird phenomenon that's coming up where like everyone it demands Bachelor contestants, you know, denounce all the weird behavior and the bad behavior going on, which is a very interesting phenomenon. And then also Claire Crowley, has she been spotted wearing her diamond ring, her Neal Lane diamond ring, that 4-carat rock? Is she back to wearing it? Is she back with Dale? Claire Crowley drops a couple new quotes. You know, white women with their quotes, they'll get after it. Anyway, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about all this and whether or not you think that Chris Harrison deserves a chance to explain himself, and would you welcome him back after doing so? All right, guys, see you in a little bit. Bye now.